So what's up, everybody? It's Blake from the DRC Divine Recovery Center. This is our second podcast episode. The previous week we had Carrie Ann, and today we have with us my man Lovely Harvey, and he's going to share with us on this episode about empowerment and elevation. Thank you and welcome to the show.
You're welcome, man, and thanks for having me. So for all of those out there watching, man, thank you for joining us today. Like you said, my name is Lovely Harvey. Just calling me Lovely is fine. And I appreciate the honor and privilege of being asked here today, man, just to talk about the elevation and the empowerment of improving the quality of your life. It has to start with self. So let me just be clear about myself. My life was absolutely a horror story that has now turned into a romance. That's just in a nutshell. You know, I like to define my life, or like my own personal company that's a consultant agency now for resources and recovery and stuff like that. It's called Mess to Message, because my life was a mess and I turned it into a message, and that's why I say from a horror story to a romance, because I was trying to kill myself on a daily basis, which is a horror story. But now I elevate myself on a daily basis, which is a romance, because I'm learning how to love me for who I am, and on a continuous basis learn how to make the right decisions and the necessary steps to continue to enhance my life and continue to learn how to love myself and prevent me from going back to such a dark place where I was under the misconception that some of the things I was doing was actually loving myself when it wasn't.
Let me ask you this. When did you know that you were done? That moment. I'm done.
So I don't really get to share this too often, right? Or maybe as much as I should, because I really don't actually get asked that question that often. However, when I do get asked that question, right, like I look at all of the pieces and bits of the puzzle, because it just wasn't one incident. It was a whole bunch of things over a period of time that built up, that accumulated, that once like all of the pieces came together, it was a no-brainer at that time to finally make that decision, right? It was, family members here. It was in my heart knowing I was disappointing my children, right? It was not being able to look at myself in the mirror, right? It was like the way that I was carrying myself when I know that's not me, right? Not how I was raised, not how I was educated, not how I was brought up. However, this is what I'm settling for in the name of thinking this is what's okay, right? Because in our mind, so we don't lose our mind, we make a lot of insane things justifiable insane in order not to go crazy. So I justified, right, a lot of things in the name of loving myself, or this is the way I was supposed to be, and all of them fake misinformation and miseducation, right, and misguided information that I picked up along the way that I ran with, right? So it was a lot of different components. But when I was like at the end of this miserable run, right, because this run was horrible, because this isn't like my first experience either. Like I actually went to my first detox in 1989. So I bumped my head in and out for 30 years, right? Always wanted to do it my way. But like the last 60 days that I had to sit in a cell, right? And I was off the treatment. It wasn't until one of my younger brothers, who's a big brother at times as well, right? Came through there on his way, working his way home, right? After doing 22 years, right? And when I saw him, he didn't see me, but I was so happy to see him, right? Because we hadn't stayed in touch like I should have, right? While he was gone and all the stuff, right? But he didn't even recognize me. He didn't even recognize me. So when he walked right by me, right? And then it took a few minutes for it to like click in that it was me. His eyes bubbled up with tears. And he was like, yo, Bo, I didn't even know this was you, man. And in my mind, I could see how hurt he was, seeing how hurt I was, right? And he just started talking to me, reminding me of who I was, right? That was the last piece. Right?
Okay, that was the last piece.
And before I just finish saying that was the last piece, I gotta say shout out to my man Joseph Tube Bennett, because those words right there, coupled with everything else that had been coming together, you know, my aunt, my daughter, my sons, right? Like my family and everybody loving me, my biological brother, right? Like everybody putting little pieces and bits in my ear. But at the end, when I was making that decision, when he didn't know who I was, and then he started talking to me with such disappointment, right? And hurt in his heart and looking at me like, come on, bro, this ain't you. Man, that was like it.
So tell us about the empowerment. Tell us about those corners you turned.
So here's the thing, right? It's hard to tell somebody how to drive if you don't know how to drive, right? It's hard to tell somebody how to box if you don't know how to box. See what I'm saying? So it's hard, right? Or I'm going to say that I would find it the most difficult for somebody to try to empower somebody that hasn't learned how to empower themselves. So the way that I took my life back to empower myself was letting go of those negative behaviors in my old way of thinking. Like I knew for me, being a stick-up kid, being a dope dealer, being a fake pimp, being all of these things that I thought I was supposed to be, slick, cool, terminally, fatally cool, like it talks about some of the literature, you know, that, you know, one of the fellowships that, you know, I know about, right? It was just like really letting go. So if I got my hands full of a whole bunch of shit over here, right? And I won't let go of this shit, right? How can I expect to hold on to these diamonds and these jewels over here if I won't let go of what's holding me down over here, right?
Okay.
My old way of life was holding me down.
Yeah. So you see the elevation in your life today.
Okay, so I don't see it more than I feel it. And there's a difference, because it's easy to be a dressed up trash can, right? It's easy to put on cute clothes. It's easy to put on some Jordans or some Pradas, right? Or some Gucci sneakers, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to put the makeup on. But how do you feel inside, right? Do I still feel less than a man? Do I still feel inadequate? Am I still disappointing my children? Am I still not standing on business and being a man of my word? Do I stand on integrity today, right? Do I say I'm going to do something and you can count on me to do it, right? So it's not the image, it's really the inside.
Right.
Like the inside job.
Right. So this elevation, I'll be more specific. I don't want to use myself as an example because it's not about me, but if I may just say that I've been here for 22 years almost, and I got you just like everybody else. You know, I all have our personal lefts and rights, but we got here. And I had to feel
excuse me,
in order to experience it. And when I felt it, it was gradual. You know, because what was going on 5 years ago, there's been additions in those 5 years. You know, so my elevation is become more of an elevation when I was able to give it away. Let other people see it by continuous action.
Action always speaks louder than words. Like my story in my community is not the best kept secret, right? And what I mean by that is everybody watched my story unfold in real time, in real life. Excuse me. Day for day. So they seen the mess, right? Then they seen the hard work. And then they seen the transformation into the message, right? So for me, one of the most empowering, elevating things was to remain humble, right? To remain humble and know that believing in myself enough to take a risk on, like I took a risk on everybody else my whole life.
Yeah.
It was time for me to take a risk on myself. Like, you're not slow, you're not stupid, right? You have an education. What you don't know, you can adapt to and learn, right? Take a chance on yourself, man, and change your life.
Y'all hear that? About taking chances. That's right.
Like I gambled, I gambled on the dope man, I gambled on the women, right? I rolled the dice, right? With the fellas, right? Some of them held me down, some of them let me down, right? it was time for me to learn how not to let myself down, right?
Yeah.
So humbling myself, right? And check this out. Humbling myself is saying I don't know. Because for so long I had to move like I knew when I didn't. And even if I did, it was the wrong no that I was in. So it wasn't productive. It wasn't producing good fruit.
Yeah.
You know, I know a whole bunch. I know how to end up in the hospital from overdoses. I know how to end up in jail with new bids, right? I know how to disappoint my children when they don't even want to speak to me on the phone, right?
Yeah.
I know how to have my mother so disappointed that her heart is broken, right? I know how to have my grandmother look at me with the saddest eyes in the world, right? I know how it is for one of my homies that used to look up to me to look at me and not even know me and be crushed because of what he's seen I did to myself, right? So I know what those things are, right? So how about what I don't know? What are you going to do about what you don't know? What are you going to do about being open to learn how to be employable, how to work on your credit score, right? How to fix your life and put yourself in a position education-wise where you can be in a place where not only you help yourself, but it turns around and puts you in a position to help others.
Exactly, which is the next corner we're turning in regards to what you do as far as work in the community, outside of the community. What you're manifesting in your life.
So, my job, right, or jobs and what I do is not my recovery, and I'm clear on that. But to be honest, the way I feel about myself and the way I feel about the condition of my community and my people, which I call my tribe, right, that are out there still sick and suffering and looking for a way out, I would be sick personally if I couldn't help. That's my passion. That was my pain that turned into a purpose. That's my passion. That I strategically maneuvered and put myself in a position where I could be help to somebody just like me. That's what means the most to me. That somebody could look at me and see the hope and say, you know what, if you could do it, I could do it. Or for them to say, you know what, I'm ready. How did you do it? You know what I mean? Because what I do today, I wish I would have had a me when I was all messed up like that. And there probably was some me's out there. I just wasn't open, or I just wasn't privy to who was like that, right? But to put myself in a position now where I can be an example for my people, right? It makes all the difference in the world with my life being in a place that it is. So I'm a recovery coach.
Okay.
Right?
Coach.
I'm a resource specialist. I'm a community activist, peer support specialist. I do it all. So just to put myself in one title would be like putting myself in a loophole, because at any given time, what's necessary to help somebody take the next step to get their life together, that's what I can do. So do I have all the information and all the resources? No, but I am, without question, a great networker. And that's what makes me valuable. That's what makes me effective. And that's what makes me such a help in my community, because it doesn't matter what the issue is. Excuse me. I'm going to find out who the plug is to make that connection.
Y'all hear that? Networking.
Networking is key.
Networking. That is a diamond in the rough.
Networking is key. I know somebody that does everything when it comes to help.
Yeah.
Excuse me. A few people.
Yeah.
Very rarely is somebody going to call me with a situation or issue, right? And I say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm going to call Blake.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm going to call Chris. I'm going to say, I'm going to call Chu. I'm going to say, I'm going to call Garrett, right? I'm going to say, I'm going to call Mathematics. I'm going to say, I'm going to call Exit. I'm going to call this organization. I'm going to call this place. Hold on, let me reach out to my people over here. Because networking is the key, because the broader the base, the higher the peak, right? So the more people that we're connected with, the more we have the opportunity to put people where they need to be in order to enhance the quality of their life. You can't do it without networking. You can't do it without having the heart and being open, right? To connecting with people. Like, people that think they can do anything when it comes to human services on their own are doing the people a disservice.
Period.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we
yeah.
like, and this ain't a knock, a no cap, right?
Right.
But we do have some Lone Rangers that think it's about them, and that's what it is. However, if nobody rocks with you, how do you rock to help people that need the help? You can't be, and I'm gonna say, you can't be an asshole. You can't be a piece of shit. You don't have to like everybody, but we gotta learn to rock with each other for the greater good. I don't have to come over your house for dinner. I don't have to be your best friend. We don't gotta hook up and have Red Bulls, but we gotta have that commonality.
And that's the integrity piece.
Where we vibe.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I want to tell you, personally, no human being personally likes everybody. That was Jesus' job.
Yeah.
That was Jesus' job. Let me just keep it a buck. But personally, no human being just likes everybody, no matter what the circumstance situation is, right? But it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
No matter what I feel personally, it doesn't hinder me from connecting with people that can put my people in a position to do better.
Now, what you said for the last few minutes that's a growing pain for a lot of people that are going to listen to this, because we both know that fear will keep us coming up short. You know, when there's a pot of gold right there, fear says, nah, so-and-so's over there. Fear says, man, it's not worth it, man. Wait for yours. That is yours. You know, that's powerful.
How many times have we heard somebody, check it out, how many
Yeah.
times have we heard somebody coming up, right? Where we would say, excuse me, check this out. Oh, you need such and such? And they'd be like, yeah. And then they'll be like, okay, go over there and see Blake, right? And they'd be like, nah, I don't like that motherfucker. So, now let me get this right.
Yeah.
You don't like him, so because your personal feelings is preventing you from accepting some life-changing information. See the difference?
That's right. The mirror.
See the difference?
Yeah.
How you feel emotionally and personally is preventing you from taking on some information that might save your life. I don't care what you look like, what color you are, how old you are, how young you are, where you come from. If you got some positive, elevating, empowering information that I can use to help me and in turn help somebody else, I need to be linked up with you.
Yeah. Word.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Everything that I wanted to do in the streets and in the dope game, I get to do out the streets and on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people are like, oh, you're flashy, you're flamboyant, you're extra fly, but how about this? Because it's the truth. And I am, right? But I'm the hope for them kids that still think a package is they're out.
Can I share something with you? You just said something that I was hit with about this many years ago. And, well, you have expensive suits. You be driving all these fast cars. I says there was a time when I had to walk by an expensive suit slowly.
Yeah.
There was a time.
I'm not a window shopper no more.
Exactly. There was a time when I had no choice to, but now I have many choices. And one of them is to wear it how I want to wear it. So when I see you doing that, I'm saluting. What's that Friday thing?
Yeah, Friday.
I'm saluting.
That's my movement.
Yeah.
Man. I check in on Friday. I check in on Friday.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, excuse me. Like, yo, that's dope. It's just my way of checking in.
Yeah.
So I don't check out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like 6 years ago, I was in a wheelchair for like the 4th or 5th time, right? Possibly not gonna be able to walk again. Shooting dope, smoking crack, sleeping in a portable bathroom in Nubian Square, right? Man, I didn't get my life together not to have my life together.
That's right.
Right? I didn't get my life together not to have my life together. I work hard, right? So I can have what I like.
Yeah.
It's not about nobody else saying what I should have or shouldn't have, or picking for me, or tell me what I should do with my bag. It's my bag.
It's my bag.
It's my bag.
My bag.
Right?
Yeah.
And I got it honest. I didn't get it out the mud, right? I didn't, flip this pack and flip that pack. Like, I work 2 full-time jobs. I got my own business. I'm always on go. I'm supposed to have what I want, right? But on the flip side of that, the message is so heavy and so deep that somebody can look at me and say, you know what? He's really living his blessed life, not his best life. He's living his blessed life without a pistol, without a package, without going to jail, without overdosing, without hurting somebody else, without manipulating people, without stealing, right? Like, he's not doing nothing negative. However, his life is okay. That's the hope. That's the hope right there. So listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I am one of many who went from slanging dope to slanging hope. I am an official hope pusher today, and I'm proud of it, because the hope and the message of seeing that you can get your life together, right? Do it by the book. Yeah, really by the book, like paying taxes and all, right? And still be okay. Because a lot of the things I do today, I didn't think I could do it without hustling. Then I figured it out. I'm still hustling. I'm just in a different lane. And the benefits are much more productive, produce much better fruit. There's so many things that I no longer have to worry about today. And yeah, I love being flashy and fly. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
that's part of
yeah.
the message, man,
Yeah,
that you can
yeah.
do it without harming others, harming yourself, or putting yourself in a position where, like, some of my friends sell dope on Tuesday, go to jail on Wednesday, right? And they might have got a 5-year run. And this is, if you're lucky, you might get a 5-year run. But you want to trade that 5-year run in for the next 20 years? And I'm talking about, so I say my friends, I mean the over 40, over 50 crowd.
Yeah.
Trading that in for the next 15, 20 years is a life sentence. I don't got that in me. I don't got that in me. To be like, okay, let me sell a couple of bumps, a couple of packs, a couple of balls, a couple of deuces, whatever, right? And risk everything for that little bit of nothing. It ain't worth it. You know what I mean? Did I get everything overnight? No.
Who does?
No. But that's what I used to do. I would come over from jail and get a package and think I'm going to catch up for the 3 years I just did, the 5 years I just did, right? And before the year was over, we have a collect call from, right?
Yeah.
And check this out. See what I said? You have a collect call from? It wasn't to her. It wasn't to him. It wasn't to them. It was to the only one of the only ones I knew was going to press zero. My grandmother. My grandmother. Never not press zero no matter what. But I want to keep going back and forth to jail.
So, with that said, anything that you would like to add to this as a lasting statement or expression, or to the viewers?
To the viewers, okay, so I didn't come here, right? I came here just to be positive and chop it up with you, and I appreciate the invite, right? Excuse me. But I'm going to say what I heard a lot of people before me say. The truth stands alone. It don't need no alibi. And the truth is, if you're willing to change your life and you want a better life, it's possible. And the truth is that if a mess like me can go to a message like I am today, that if you're within the sound of my voice, then it's possible for you too. You no longer have to subscribe to the message that once an addict, always an addict, and the way you living right now is the way you have to die. Like, I rewrote the narrative for the ending of the story of my life. Like I said, it was a horror story, now it's a love story, a self-love story. So loving yourself and learning to love yourself is the key to any and everybody's success. It is okay to love yourself.
Thank you. My man.